What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation, still coming at you from colorful Colorado. Man, this whole going to be a trainer thing has really been on my mind so much that I had a dream about it last night. Now, before I get on with this video, I want to thank somebody that I reached out to that just recently became a trainer at Prime and was kind of telling me a little bit of the information about, what I had to look forward to and going forward in this process. And his name is Pat, and he has a YouTube channel called Datrucka. I'm gonna leave a link to his channel. Just click on this little iCard up there. That'll take you to his channel. And he just got out on the road with his new co-driver, so that is definitely somebody to take a look at if you're about to go through this training experience yourself. Now, what this video is really about is I'd got an email about 4 days ago. Somebody that's a company driver saying were thinking about going lease, but then they talked to somebody that either had been a lease driver. I don't know what their position is, if they went company or if they left Prime altogether, but they were saying that you're not going to make any more money being a lease driver as you would company, and don't waste your time. It's I forgot what he called it. It was a scam or something like that. Now, I had a phone call with this person and kind of told him what I thought about the situation, but I thought I was going to be done with it then. But then I saw a post on Facebook this morning, and it was, somebody that's a lease driver, Prime, complaining about how much money they're making, stuff like that. And listen, I don't have a problem if you're not making money at Prime. Rather than complaining about it, why don't you just say, how are some of you other guys doing it out here? Don't get on here complaining like, okay, well, I'm not making any money, and then, taking the whole negative approach on it. My approach would be, if I'm making $1,100-$1,200 a week, how do I make more? That would be my question. So reluctantly, I'm going to kind of go over my last 4 settlement statements, just because I know that there's other people that I'm talking to that are kind of on the fence, and I mean perfect candidates. Now, I'm not one to be out here trying to push anybody towards lease or company. I think there's some people that definitely should go company. But if you're telling me, listen, Lyle, I'm retired, I got money coming in from retirement, we really don't have any much debt other than, our house payment, stuff like that, you know what? That's a perfect lease candidate. And I don't want, somebody's negativity to kind of dissuade him from going lease. So let's talk about these last 4 settlements. Now, I really don't know what these settlements are going to be. I just pulled them up on my phone. For those of you guys that are out there that don't know, that are leasing with Prime, if you don't want to take a look at that big old settlement statement that's like all these pages long, all you have to do is a macro 33, put in your employee code, and you'll get a broke down statement on what you made for that week. And I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like. I'm not sure if it's going to show up on this video that well, but it would kind of look like that. I'm not sure if you can really see that or not, but anyway, let's talk about my last 4 settlement statements. So I'm going to kind of do this backwards because these settlements don't really talk about how much money is going into my emergency fund. So I need to take the miles times 20%, and that's going to give me a portion of my pay, and then kind of go down from there. So my last settlement statement, I ran 3,641 miles. So let's take that 3,641, multiply that by 0.2. So that's $728 went into my emergency fund. And then outside of that, I had $1,774 go into my checking account, and then $25 go onto my Calm data card. So let's add that up. 1774 plus 25. So that's $2,527 for this last settlement. All right, so let's talk about the settlement before that. settlement before that. Now, this was a week that I tapped out on, so I'm not sure how this settlement's going to really shake out, but this is the one where my dispatcher was going to send me out on a load, and I was just like, you know what, I'm tired, boss. I can't do it. So I only ran 1,809 miles on that. So let's take the 1,809 times 0.2. So that put $361 into my emergency fund. And then let's take a look at the rest of the settlement statement. So still on that, I did $5,065 in total revenue. And then $2,039. So plus 2,039 plus 25. So again, $2,425 for that week. So it's pretty consistent at $2,500 right now. Let's go back and take a look at the next one. And I'm not sure if I mentioned how much the total revenue was on the first week, but I'm going to say it right now. The first one that I spoke about that was 3,641 miles, we did $53.79 in revenue on that one. And then the week before that, I ran 1,929 miles. You know, I think this might have been the week. I think that week kind of straddled 2 weeks where I took off that 34 that I really didn't need just because I was tired. But 1,929 on those miles. So let's add that up. Multiply that by 0.2. So $385 into the emergency fund on that. And then total revenue on that was $37.59. Of that $37.59, $1,232 went into my checking account. So $1,232. So plus $1,232 plus the 25. So that was $1,642. That would be probably the lowest week that I'd seen in a while. So $1,642 for that week. And then the last week we're going to talk about was 4 weeks ago. And that was let's see. Okay, on that one I did 3,432 miles. So let's say 3,432 times 0.2. That's $686. Total revenue to the truck was $68.53. I did $2,700 to my checking account. So plus 27, and it's 27 and some change. I'm just going to round it off to 2,700 plus 25 in my com data card. So that was a total of $3,400 for that settlement statement. So I'm just putting these figures out here just because, I think sometimes you need to balance things out. And sometimes I think we get into a cycle where a lot of lease drivers are putting out money and they're showing all these big checks, and a lot of people that maybe shouldn't be going lease are like intrigued by the money. But I've been seeing kind of the opposite of that lately, where people are kind of talking down on the lease. Now you can't make any money on the lease, so that's why I'm kind of doing this now. And the first bit of advice I'm going to tell anybody: if you are taking your advice or even listening to somebody that's bringing home $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 consistently on a weekly basis at Prime's Lease, that's not the person to listen to. That's not saying that they're not a good person. That's not saying that it's definitely not saying they're not a good person, but they're definitely not somebody that I would be trying to take advice from, whether I should go this route or go that route. I mean, as much information as possible, but try to talk to those people that are throwing up higher numbers. And trust me, when I'm telling you that these numbers aren't special, these numbers are not special. There's people out here averaging more than this. I mean, I'm kind of, when I run, but like on those 2 checks where, they were a little bit lower, sometimes I just need a break. And some people you know, these young cats out here might be able to push through that. Sometimes I just need a break, so I'll take a, you know, break here and there while I'm out on the road. But you know, it just kind of concerns me when people are getting swayed by the lowest people on the bell curve. And that's, you know, I think you should maybe talk to people on all different spectrums. Talk about the people on the low end, about people in the middle of that curve, and then talk to people on the high end of that curve. I really don't know where I fit into that curve. I know from the people that I talk to that I would probably be slightly higher than a lot of them. But like I said, I talk to people that are doing better than this, and I talk to people that know what people that are doing better than this. So this is not an anomaly. And the first thing I would say is, if I was averaging, and I'm not talking about if you average it with your days off and all this kind of stuff, for weeks that you're running, if you're making less, I'm gonna say if you're averaging less, you know, I'm not even gonna say that. $1,500 a week is unacceptable in my view if you're out running and you're continually running. So if you're in that position and you're fine with it, that's one thing. But if you're in that position and, like in this Facebook post, you're, you know, complaining about how much money you're making, I would kind of look inward first before I complain, and maybe seek out advice rather than, you know, kind of throwing a little bit of a tantrum on Facebook. But anyway, that's all I got to say on that. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. Run over there and check out Peter Trucker. Like I said, link is up in the iCard above, and I'm going to throw it in the description below since I'm at home and can kind of get a little mild editing going on. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my relaxing. I hope you guys stay safe.